Welcome to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing women's unique challenges in the tech industry. I'm your host, Limor Bergman Gross, and today I have a great pleasure speaking with Navdip Kaur Kalsi. Navdip is a regional director at GitHub, and she's going to talk about her journey, how she moved from India to Australia, and how she faced the fair share of discrimination, not being taken seriously in the workplace. But she's come out the other side stronger than ever. And she'll share some practical tips on how to interview for the right company culture, stand up for yourself, and take control of your own career growth. You don't want to miss this episode. So let's dive in. Hi, Navdeep. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Lemor, for giving me this opportunity and looking forward to our discussion.
Likewise. And I'm super excited that I'm able to talk with you you're from Australia, I'm from Israel. It's great to be able to connect to everyone on this world. It's incredible.
That's right. Actually, we are so much connected because of our technology that I was actually checking our calendars. I know we are in totally two different time zones, but yes, things work. I'm really happy that we are talking today.
Absolutely. And let's start with your kind of move from India to Australia. And you moved to Australia in 2007. Can you share your experience, this move from India to Australia, and how you navigated the cultural differences?
Yeah, that's really good question. So yes, in 2007, I migrated to be with my husband. And of course, coming from India to Australia, it was a different culture. I would say I did get a lot of culture shocks, but I think everything comes with good learnings and understanding about both the countries. So when I was coming from India, I did do my research about the weather, the people, and everything. And I would say Australia as a country is multicultural country, and it was very welcoming for the people who are coming from the other countries, who are coming with certain degrees, because I was coming from working in one of the multinational company in India, so it was very easy transition for me. So when I landed my first job, it was after 10 days of me landing in Australia. I think the culture where it comes is in India, things are very fast. The lifestyle is very fast. Literally, you work 24/7. When I say you work 24/7, when I was working in India, I had my customers from US, Canada, and Australia. So I was already working in 3 different time zones. So I used to start late. Some days I used to finish late. So it was like 24/7, you have the facility to pick and drop and you're working. But when I came to Australia, I think the thing which took me some time to understand it, that everyone actually in the office logged in around 8 a.m. and all my colleagues, they finish at 5 p.m. So by 5:30, office used to be empty. And initially for first few days, I was feeling a little bit obliged that, maybe because I'm a newcomer, I should work. But my manager used to come and say, no, it's 5 o'clock, go home. So initially I was like, why this is happening? Is it like 5 p.m. is the shutdown time? And then I asked my one of my colleagues, like, why most of the shops, and in Australia, most of the shops are actually closed. Today also after 5 p.m., except grocery store, most of the shops are closed. Like they shut down at 5 p.m. And then I asked my manager and also one of my colleagues, like, what is this reason behind 5 p.m. shutdown? And they said that you need to spend time with your family. You need to upskill yourself. And then I think I realized that, oh, wow, this is like really good culture, that you do have a proper shutdown from the work. You're going back to your family. You're learning some new skills, or you're doing something for yourself, that is your self-care. So now coming to how I navigated. So this is just one of the examples which I can give you from the culture, which was a little bit, took me some time, like, okay, I have to finish. Perfect. But if you look, the positive side of this kind of culture is you're spending a lot of time on your self-care, which was very positive. And also, it's the time management, the discipline which gets cultivated in yourself for the time management, because you're coming at certain time and finishing at certain time. This is what I'm going to achieve in my one day. I think that is something which I liked. Now, coming to the navigation, because when you are coming from different countries, I always say, and this is a common question which I always get from my friends who are coming from India, I always say, be curious. Then being judgmental, why certain things are done in different country or different cultures, always understand the why behind it. Because I had that curious mind, it was very easy for me to understand Australian culture, the time management, the discipline, the me time, the family time. So curious mind is very, very important. And second thing is always have that open mindedness. People always forget that when I'm coming from a different country to a new country, I definitely have something which is my background. So it is, I can give you something to take something from you. So it is just like, two diverse background people are coming and talking. So have that open mind, listen to understand and share your thoughts. So that is where curious mind and open mind is very, very important to understand the culture and navigate into these culture differences.
Absolutely. And it sounds like the culture there is very healthy, very much appreciate the balance between work and
100%.
life.
Yes, it's very important. And that is what I learned here in Australia. Like, yes, you need to have proper shutdown. So especially when during COVID, when everyone started working from home, most of my team members, they used to say, we don't know when we are finishing from our work. And I always used to give that advice, have your work from home setup, your computer in a room or in a place. After 5 o'clock, just walk out of that room, shut down your computer. You're giving a signal to your brain. Okay, I have done for today. Now let me focus on myself. Let me learn something new, which will be useful for my work in next week or so. But go away from a computer and your home setup. So yes, I think that is very important, and the time management 100% is very, very important.
Yeah. And you mentioned the stores also closed, so it's kind of made me curious. How do people buy stuff? When do they have time to actually go shopping?
So Thursday, Fridays. All the stores are open till 9 p.m. now also. So we actually look forward to Thursday, 9 p.m. shopping, and also Friday. Otherwise, Saturday, Sundays are the time where usually people go for a shopping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So they have an answer to everything.
That's right, of course. See, things have to go on, right? So it's just that everything. So, because that was my question in India, because we usually used to go shopping around 6 p.m. in the evening. And I was like, how come everything closes? And then someone said, the people who are running the shops, they also have their family to take care, right? And that's very valid point. It's not us. It is both ways. So if I really need something, then I should make myself available. So yes, one thing which I learned, because sometimes when you know that you have a limitation of the time, because 5 p.m. shops closes, so I used to do my afternoon walk, like 12 to 1, my lunch break, and I used to do my shopping if I really need to buy something.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And when we talked earlier, you mentioned that you face discrimination and not always taken seriously in previous roles. And
That's right.
I would love to hear about, some specific instances where you and how you dealt with it.
That's right. And I don't hesitate to say, because sometimes you do face discrimination because of your gender, because of your background, and then you learn from it. And that is where I'll share 2 incidents with you. But both the incidents really made me what I am today. I learned a lot from those incidents, lot of resilience, lot of mental growth, which you really need sometimes. So first one was when I was in Australia, when I was working for one of the government projects. So I actually, after joining, I think in 2 to 3 months of my joining, I got to know that I'm pregnant. So I'm talking about 2008. When in 2008, when you're joining a job and you know you're pregnant, you fear to share that news with your employer because you're still new. So it took me a lot of courage and time to go and tell my manager that I'm pregnant and I will be taking my maternity leave after 9 months. He was very good, I'll be very honest. He's like, that's okay, that's fine. But for my unfortunate thing, my manager resigned and a new manager came on board. So the new manager who came on board, when I went on maternity leave, first he said, oh, you have not even completed 1 year, so why should you get the maternity leave? I said, but I do have the HR approval. So that was one thing. Then he was like, okay, so I went for my maternity leave for 4 months because at that point, only 4 months was allowed. So I came back when my son was 4 months old. But I came back as a part-time employee. So as soon as I came back as a part-time employee, my manager was like, you're coming as a part-time employee, I cannot put you onto a projects which you were working. So I was one of the highly qualified technical advisor who was working on very critical project for the government. So when I came back as a part-time, first thing what he did was he took me out of the critical project and put me into some other project, which I did not like. And I'm like, see, 3 days I'm working, right? So only for 2 days you're not. He's like, no, because this project is on the critical path, you cannot achieve. I'm like, that's okay. Let me give him benefit of the doubt. I'm like, that's okay. You can put me on another project. But when he started putting me on the other project, it was just like being a developer and programmer, my role just suddenly changed without my discussion to a bug fixing and doing the support role. So I went back to him and said that this is not what I have signed up for this role. Just because I have taken maternity leave and I'm part-time for 6 months, you're changing my role and responsibilities without any discussion. And he was like, I don't need to discuss with you, right? That was one thing. And then later on, because I think after 1 month, he started doing, he did changes in the team. So then I was put into a team where there were 5 other men and I was only one woman there. So that was okay. I did not think in any other way because I was like, that's okay. That's part of the role. But then suddenly one day he just called me into the room and he said, looks like I don't think because you have a young baby and because you're doing part-time, I don't think you should be working here because I can get some other people who can do 5 days work. And I was like, really? That's not what, just because I have a baby and I'm doing the part-time, I said, I'm happy to go full-time, right? And because I proposed him that I can go full-time, he said, okay. So after I went full-time, he actually, after 1 month, he just made a case that my salary is high compared to my other peers, and he just made my position redundant. So I went to HR and I asked, like, I couldn't understand the reason of my redundancy. Okay, if it is you're doing the reorg, if you're doing something else, it's good. And HR, she said, Navi, I have fought to your manager a lot that he shouldn't be making redundant who is on part-time and who just had a kid. Based on that, she cannot go full-time. I said, but I went full-time. Then she was like, no, it's difficult to reason with him, but he is worried that because you have a young baby, you'll not be able to focus on the things. So I think that became, I really felt that it was unethical. It was like, it was not even a legal way to do it, but yes, I was not smart enough to take it further. I said, that's okay. But I think that when he made me redundant, it took me 3 months to pick up my courage, to trust myself, and then think like what I should have done better. But all my self-reflection told me a few things. One was, I think I was depending too much on my manager for my career growth. And also I was somewhere I was in the comfort zone. I'll always call it that. I was in comfort zone that, okay, I have spent 4 years in this org, so I should spend, it was 2 years in this org, so I should spend more time, right? So it took me 3 months to make my final decision to find a better job. But I would say I don't regret what my manager did to me, because what he did, it gave me a good self thought to my career, my goals, which was missing when I was working, because I think I was not empowered enough to test myself. So it was good what happened. So that is one of the incident which I always tell in my mentoring session, because I do mentor a lot of women who are new in their career. I always say pregnancy and your project, nothing should be compromised. You're capable, have confidence in yourself, and you should tell to your manager that just because I'm pregnant or I'm part-time, I'm not doing anything less. So I always say, get your things done. So
Absolutely.
this is just an advice to all the women with kids also. Don't think that anyone is going to give you anything easy because you're a woman or you have kids or you have home responsibility. Just learn to multitask, because if you have given a task, get it done. Be accountable. Be honest towards it. So that was one of the good learnings, I would say. There was one more. After that, I joined one of the consulting group where I was going to big enterprises to enable the organization with the latest technologies like cloud, DevOps practice and everything. So once I was in the meeting doing a presentation in front of around 20 managers. And as part of the presentation, I was just trying let all the managers know why transformation, that is why moving from on-prem infrastructure to the cloud is going to enable them, how DevOps is going to help them with productivity of the developers. I was telling them that it is good that we implement these practices in the organization so that your products can go to market quickly. So I was just talking about the overall growth of the organization. So the hiring manager, because I was independent consultant, when you're independent consultant, you need a local manager in the organization to be your hiring manager. So he was there in the meeting, and he just, whenever I was talking that topic of growth, he was like, skip to the next slide, skip to the next slide, skip to the next. And then I was like, why are you not allowing me to speak? You're blocking me, right? And then he's like, it's okay, we don't need your preaching, we don't need your this advocacy. I have given you statement of work, just stick to that. I said, by all means, I'll stick to that. And then later on in the day, he took me out for a coffee. And then he said, I need to tell you something, Navi, that you are young, you're female, and you're coming from Asian background. So don't even expect a 25 plus years of experience white man listening to you and following you. So that was shocking for me. But again, as I said, this kind of incidents have made me more stronger. I'm like, okay, if you think that I'm not able to make you follow my plan, what else I should be doing? Then he's like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. It is our organization, you're a consultant, just do what we have asked for. I said, 100% I'm going to do that. But as part of my role, I need to let you know the bigger picture. Because if I'm not showing you the forecast, if I'm not showing you the future, whatever you're paying me today, it is not going to give you the benefit. So he had his own clashes, I would say. But when he said that, I think I got that reality check where he's coming from. And because I was letting him know that this is not what you're doing, because his approach of solving problem was very different to what he was paying me for. And I just was sitting in one of the discussions again in the meeting room. And then he just came to me and he said, I don't think I need you anymore. So, okay, because I'm a consultant and that's fine. That's all good. But when he was removing me from the system, one of the other manager who was there in that meeting room of 20 people, he reached out to me saying that, Navi, we need your expertise, we need your skills, we need your future bigger picture. So in one way, I saw what that manager was doing just because of my being female, being young. So I think if someone is saying that, that was quite reflected in his action. So these are lot of, I would say there are a lot of plus and minus incidents which taught me that where the fixed mindset comes. But I always say, like, if someone is treating you in this way, it's not that I'm going to go to HR or I'm going to go to my manager that, oh, this person mentioned these things to me. But my role as a consultant was, if he's blocking me, I should report it, and which he was doing it. That's what I say. Always I follow SBI model. Talk about the situation, talk about the behavior, talk about the impact which his action created on me. Then I did a written complaint about him, and based on that, he was put into behavior watch, because in one way he was showing on the paper that he's paying me for certain things, but he was not allowing me to do those things. So this kind of discriminations, yes, I have faced, but facing this also, I got a lot of good managers who supported me, who empowered me, and those managers I'm still in touch, and few of them are my mentors also. Because it is a learning, I always think. It is a continuous learning which a lot of organizations still needs to learn. Because people say, I hear a lot of times, diversity. They say, oh, we are going to give first preference to women. And I always question that. Yes, you should give preference to women, but diversity is not only with women. Diversity means a bigger topic. It means a diversity is diverse background, right? You should make things easier for women. Why women are still hesitant to sit with men in the meeting rooms? Those things need to change. Why women feel that, oh, there's too many males in this, oh, there will be a male ego. I think those are the bigger things which we need to fix than just hiring women to tick those boxes of, like, oh, we have hired a woman. Oh, we have 40% of women in our team. No, make things comfortable for all the genders, I would say. Both the genders, all the genders, it should be welcoming for all kind of backgrounds. That is where it should go.
Absolutely. I think that there are a lot of insights in both stories. First of all, I would like to say that if something like that happens to you, it's not about you. It's about the other person. And and what causes people usually to behave the way you described is because they feel uncomfortable with having a smart, young, high achiever woman working with them, and it makes them feel maybe not that great about themselves.
Yes. And that is what my other person, as I said, who was there in the meeting room, he was observing, and he was very quick to take the action that, why don't you come and work for us? And I think that was the behavior he saw. The other manager who was telling me that, oh, you're white, you're female, you're young. I felt that he was threatened because he created a superficial picture of his plan, which was not right, according to me, and he felt threatened that I'm exposing him. So that's what he started attacking me. But that's
okay. We learn from that, and the most important thing is to figure out what is kind of an environment you want to work for, and how to find that environment and find the people. So so it's a great, actually, sometimes those experiences can tell us a lot about what we need and what is not the right environment for us.
And, I can give you those examples as well. Because, as I said, this kind of incidents really made me learn a lot. So when I was looking for a job, because of my first manager, when I had my son, in that 3 months, I actually got 3 interviews. And I still remember, I know it's been a while, but I still remember, out of that 2 interviews, I really had a lot of good interest. right? And both the parties also had the interest. But how? Because I was coming from an environment which was not supportive enough of my skills, my growth, and also my goals, what I wanted to set. So one of the organization A, they were paying me 10,000 or 10 grands more. The other one was paying less. But still, I went for the one which was paying less for a reason. Because the hiring manager, who is my good friend now, the hiring manager, he made me very comfortable during the interviews. He made me, so comfortable that I could showcase my skills. And also, because I was coming from a very toxic environment, I actually myself said, I do have a young baby, so I may be leaving early few days. On that point, you know what he said? Oh, don't worry. I have 3 kids. Sometimes I don't even turn up to the work. That's all good. So I'm not expecting someone to help me, but it is just the comfort, the culture which we are going into. And believe me, getting a 10 grand less in my yearly package was worth, because I could work with that person. I could learn a lot. And he really showed me that why your personal career growth, your personal career journey is important than depending on others. So this is how I would always say, whenever you're going for an interview, do your research. Go check online what people have written about that organization. That is first step. Second step is, when you're going for rounds of interview, don't think that they want to interview you. As a person who is going to work there, I should also interview. Is my hiring manager good? Whether I'll have a good relationship with the hiring manager. Will this hiring manager is going to allow me to try new things, or this manager is going to block? So you will get a lot of red flags, hints. So I always say, guys, don't compromise in your career. I know sometimes we are forced to compromise, but not when you think that you can take risk. Create your own goals and stick to that. So yes, I have done that. I have picked the right manager and I learn a lot.
Yes, and I want to say something about that as well. So I'm all for getting good paycheck and getting what you're worth.
Yes.
But when you consider the different options, the compensation is one aspect. And
Yes.
I've noticed that also as, a manager for so many years, that people sometimes cared only about the compensation packages and maybe sometimes left jobs because, hey, someone could pay them more. Yeah. But eventually they were not happy. So it's not the only thing. And even if you're getting what you want and you're happy, it will not last for long unless you're satisfied in what you do. You have a supportive environment. You have a good culture.
100%. And that is where you're spot on, actually, Amor, because, and why I'm saying this is that although there was a difference of 10 grand, I don't regret it, because the growth which I had in my career after that job, I don't think I should have got that growth in my other job just because if I should have taken the 10 grand increments. So always, it is not the paycheck which helps you. Always think what you want to do in your goal, the growth, the learning. So there's a lot of factors. And I always laugh. Whenever I went to the next role, I did get the increment of 20, 25 grands, right? Whatever it was. Only the first month I go and check my bank, how much more I have got. After that, I've never done that. So it's only 1 month happiness. After that, it is the work which keeps you happy and aligned to that work.
Exactly. And I want to ask you, because you mentioned that, and this is very important, that you basically, you need to interview also them. Do you have any tips for women who are maybe in interviews? What kind of questions can they ask a potential manager or HR, whoever interviews them, to get a sense whether that's the right kind of place for them?
Sure. So I'll just tell you how I started doing it. I usually if I'm going for an interview, so of course you're going to apply to multiple roles. But whenever you're applying, you are doing a check, which is the job description and the requirement. Women usually have a tendency of checking that, okay, out of 10 skill set, at least 9 should be matching, which is fair, which is good. But more than that, also check the organization where you're going to work. So now coming to the questions. So if you have done your homework, when you're proceeding to the interviews, allow the other party to ask you the questions, but at least have 2 to 3 questions ready. What would be the 2 to 3 questions? The first question which I always ask is how this role was created. Was it a new role? Was it an existing role? And why? Because if it is a new role, then your next question comes. With the new role, is it a new role and responsibilities? If it is new role and responsibility, how the hiring manager is going to help for this role to settle, and what problems this role is going to solve. Because if the new role has been created, it means it comes with a lot of background around it. If it is an existing role, then you already know there is a team. Then you should always ask, how many are there in the team? What is their skill set? So if the hiring manager tells me, oh, I have 5 people and all 5 are from X location, I consider that as a red flag. Why? Because I really want to work where there is a diverse background. That's one. Second question which I always ask, what are the KPIs of the role, right? So once your hiring manager is telling you about the KPIs of the role, believe me, your hiring manager will give you a lot of hints that how flexible your manager is going to be, how supportive your manager is going to be, and how much your manager is going to allow for the growth, right? So I think these are things, and always ask what this role is going to be after 2 years or 3 years. Why I ask this kind of questions is because whenever I'm starting a journey on a new organization, I usually have my goals set up. And those goals and the purpose is actually from that organization and also from my career growth. So if I have my 2 years of my career growth is that I want to be a senior director, I'm just giving you the example. So my new role which I'm going to take, it should be very much aligned to it. And if I'm planning in next 5 years, I want to be a VP, my again role should be aligned to that. And you should be confident enough to ask the hiring manager, what is the growth of this role? So if we are not asking these questions, we will never know with whom you are going to work, because your hiring manager play a very important role. So these are the questions which I'll be asking.
Wonderful. And those are incredible questions. And I want to add that you mentioned about the team, which is super, super important.
Yes.
And many times you can ask to meet with the team, or at least some of them, if they are not part of the interview process, to have a conversation with them, or if this is in a place where people actually work in an office, maybe to go for lunch with them, to get to know the people and see whether are those kind of people you would like to work with.
That's right. That's very important. But you'll not believe me more. There are a lot of people who are just trying to understand that culture is, everyone have the definition of the culture different. For me, what you just said, 100%. When I was joining my role as head of engineering, my GM actually invited to one of their open days where all the teams were there, and I was invited as a guest so that I can see what is the culture they have, what is the environment, how everyone work together as a team. So, but I think based on everyone's definition, some people just think that in the interview is one-way process, but it is two-way process. And then they should, if you're not asking for something, the answer is no, right? So I always say in your interview, please do ask questions. Do ask that I want to meet someone, right? If you're not asking, you're just assuming that, oh, I'm going to be in a nice place to work with. That's
Absolutely.
100% true. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can't believe we're coming to the end of our conversation. I want to ask you,
Yeah.
Navdeep,
Yes.
if there's
Yes.
anything else you want to share that I haven't asked you, or didn't get a chance to share.
See, I always say be quite serious about your career because you're spending a lot of time in a day thinking and working. So control your career yourself. Don't wait for your manager or someone to tell you this is your next role. No, have your own goals. So in my current role also, people ask me, what is your next plan? I said, the story which I had when I joined this role, it is not complete yet. I'm just trying to complete that story. So have the purpose, have a vision. If you don't have a vision, someone else will have a vision for you in that role, right? So always have your control of your career, work towards it. I always say, dream big, set your goals based on that. It's okay to fail, change your directions, but own it so that you know you're going to succeed one day for sure.
That's wonderful advice. How can people reach out to you, Navdeep?
I'm very active on LinkedIn actually anymore. So always like to talk to people, always like to get inspired from the people. Because yesterday only I was talking to someone and I really liked his journey on the startup. And I said, I want you to be my mentor. And he was like, no, you cannot be my mentor. I'm like, no. And he said, no, I cannot be your mentor. And I'm like, don't worry. What I'm doing today, I know I'm good at this, but there are a lot of things which I need to learn. So LinkedIn is a perfect place to reach out to me. Always available. Do send me a message why you want to connect, so it's easy for me to know why we are connecting.
Perfect. And I'll put your LinkedIn URL in the show notes.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Navdeep. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
Same here, Limor, and I love you asking all those questions, and I could add value to your questions. And I would say it was more of a discussion. And as I always say, have your values and vision. Talking to people and networking is also important. And I think I don't hesitate to say I met you through the networking channel, which is really useful. And I'm talking to you today. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode. And what's coming up next week? I have a pleasure speaking with Denzil Eden, and she is founder and CEO of Smarty AI. Denzil shared her incredible story of falling in love with coding when she was just 8 years old through a unique school program. You also hear how she went from thinking she could never be an entrepreneur to founding her own AI startup. And she opens up about the challenges women face in tech and entrepreneurship, like obviously the mere 3% of venture funding going to female founders. And she also provides invaluable advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, from validating your idea before writing code to building resilience against rejection. She is a huge inspiration as she discussed her passion for developing AI assistants that optimized human capabilities. So I invite you to be motivated by her journey, turning her childhood coding enthusiasm into a mission-driven career. Don't miss out my conversation with Denzil Eden next week on From a Woman to a Leader.